Hey guys, Hailey Lain aka Key Black here with another episode of Off the Cuff, talking about the behind the curtain storyboards this time. So I actually started those storyboards shortly after the music, and it started off with a very, very rough series of thumbnail sketches, like literally the size of a thumbnail. I took it pretty literally with that. They were kind of jumbled together in this rough grid in my sketchbook. Literally, some of them were as rough as stick figures. Like, the whole point of these kinds of things, if you guys aren't familiar with the storyboarding process, is the thumbnails are meant to just be spat out quickly so that you can review them quickly and then actually put more effort into the storyboard process. So, yeah, those were started pretty much around the same time as the music or shortly after. As with the music, of course, I had already been thinking about what I wanted to do in this video long before I even knew I wanted to do this video consciously. So things actually spelled out pretty fast. I think I did it over the course of maybe a week or a handful of days, and I had this, series of sketches in my notebook that I just kind of took photos of, and much later finally started adapting into the first pass of storyboards. If you guys remember, about 2 years ago, I was doing those storyboard streams live on YouTube, and some things changed pretty dramatically between those boards and the final product, as many of you guys have already noticed. But yeah, I basically got the main beats out, I knew roughly what I wanted, I knew it revolved around Henry encountering the Angel and discovering, more of the mess that he left behind. And I knew that the Angel was going to be vaguely benevolent. I knew I wanted her to be kind of this guide, judge character more than, another one of the zanies in the studio. I've already kind of talked about her character. But there were, other key details, like what exactly is he going to find down there? What is the escalation from encountering his demonic little creation and actually wanting revenge on him? And what's going to be worse than that? What's going to be leading up to the finale, which will, of course, bring a resolution that I think a lot of us wanted out of Bendy and the Ink Machine. But yeah, so there are a couple of scenes that have changed pretty dramatically from the first version of the storyboards to the final ones. I'll pick out a couple and talk about those. The biggest one, I think, is the encounter with the Angel. I've already talked about how my initial idea of the Angel was more of this cruel, cold, kind of a little witch character, and she eventually became much more of a proper lady like Jessica Rabbit. So originally, I had it set up so that the Angel would actively try and scare Henry with look at what's happened to my face. It's like Phantom of the Opera nonsense. Henry would reel back, fall on his ass, and then scramble his way out of the room, and he would end up in this much bigger hallway, like, whoa, this place is big. Upon review with Jess and Monpian, we decided that this was not necessary. I had, been kind of glued to it. I really wanted to have that, big reaction. But their whole point was look, if you start off the video with this big reaction, there's really nowhere to escalate to. You gotta start off a little more subtle, and why don't we show a different side of Henry in this interaction? So, of course, that went through 2 more passes. You guys saw my reaction when Jess suggested that Henry might find somebody like the Angel attractive. But of course, because I was so resistant to showing this kind of side to Henry, about the only ground that I would cede would be, all right, Henry can blush, but that's it! And then, he'll recoil in disgust when she shows her face, and then he walks away kind of like, ew. Which also didn't work, because then I had a lot of extra space. There wasn't enough emotion, nothing really to focus on there, so I literally just filled it with him picking up a can of soup. And then he looks up and goes, whoa, what a big room. Oh god, thinking back, it's horrible. That was, of course, changed. As you guys know now, we took more time to linger on the sentiment that Henry is left with after having been rejected by somebody he was genuinely attracted to and who really had been flirting with him just 5 seconds ago, but her whole intention was not, actually flirting with him. It was like, you've got a job to do, honey, and I think I'm the only person who can even coax you into doing it. Let's see. So there was also the fight between Henry and the director, Max. I think I already talked about this one a little bit in the director focus video, but the original pass of that one was really kind of a yelling contest. It went something like, Henry would be working on his drawing. You can see he's exhausted, but also very proud of it. He gets this note. It's saying to do a complete redesign. He's pissed off. He's gonna storm into his boss's office, slam his hand on the desk, and go, "What's the deal with this note?" And, they would start yelling at each other. Max would point at him, and then Henry would throw up his arms and, this isn't even worth it. He'd storm out the door, all angry. And then we'd see that Max kind of regrets that outburst. But that doesn't really tell us much of anything about their characters. And kind of worse is that, if you're having an argument with your boss and your boss really is being ridiculous and all you do is yell at him, that's kind of reasonable, I wouldn't do it, but it's kind of reasonable. But as Mon Pian put it, once you lay hands on, I think this is how she put it, once you lay hands on, there's no going back. And so Jess's point about the collar grab was, he's gotta go too far. Oh, here we go. He's gonna throw the punch. He really shouldn't have done that. Oh boy, here we go. And then he's too much of a coward to actually do it. And that's much stronger as a message to what kind of character Henry was at that time, and suggests what he might develop into if he can come to terms with his issues. Small detail is that I had actually originally designed Henry as a brunette in the storyboards when he was younger. I think what I wanted to do was to try and contrast him with his current, much older design. But then I figured, the lighter hair works a little bit better because then it's more of a visual contrast between that flashback sequence and the rest of the video, which is much darker visually. There's one more scene that I really wanted to talk about, and it's the bit where the little demon is wagging his finger at Sam. And so this one's kind of a comedy scene, and originally it was planned to be that anyways. The way I'd originally boarded it out is that when Henry's tied to the post, then you'd see his little demon coming up and he'd waggle his finger at Sam and scold him, and Sam would look, "Oh, I'm sorry, I got caught with my hand in the cookie jar." And you'd see Henry in the background going, "What the hell?" And that's cute, it's funny. But we talked about that scene as well, and what Jess said that scene really needed was like, if we're gonna set up the idea that this little demon actually is a legitimate threat so that the later scene doesn't come out of freaking nowhere, we need some proper foreshadowing. Who better in this situation to know what the little demon is actually capable of, if not the one dude who has a cult-like reverence for him? So Jess directed what she had in mind for the scene, and it ended up being this great bit where at first it's kind of this cute, like, cute little imp walking across the screen, and Henry's like, "What is going on?" And he's looking in the other direction. Meanwhile, Sam is literally pushing himself into the wall, scrambling as far away as he possibly can. He'd be going through the wall if he could, just to get away from this. And that's, it looks funny, because it's like, what, dude, you're overreacting. It's a little guy. But then you watch the later scene and suddenly it makes more sense. At any rate, guys, thank you so much for watching this one. I had a lot of fun talking about this stuff. I think in the next video, I'm going to talk about the animation process, specifically from the 2D angle and also getting the right look in the 3D animation. So yeah, stay tuned for that one. Thank you guys again. If you have any questions at all, please leave them in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much.